there are certain players that are going to be good at certain games, and then the team dynamic may change. OpTic clearly is not a strong team in this game right now. They have to go make those changes, and it sucks because I'm sure next year that team could be really good. Even if they stuck with Kenny, there's a chance that they're really good. But a lot of teams too, they just always looking for that extra bit that's going to make them better in the moment. So then they do. Then next year, that guy's not good anymore. They're like, okay, he's done. Let's go get somebody else. Yeah, and it's just a revolving door. At least in that situation, like I remember when Thieves did that in Cold War, but I respect the initiative and the hustle to try to put a team together that's going to actually win. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 215 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike.
I'm Justin.
Justin, how we doing, bro?
Doing pretty good. A productive day. Weather is awful today, but we're good.
It is horrendous weather, to say the least. We were like coming off of a nice day. I was up at my dad's this weekend, and it was on the forecast. It was saying it was going to rain and snow. Apparently, I texted him earlier. He said he's getting 5 inches of snow. I'm like, man, I'd rather take what we've got right now where it's just piss and rain all day. But yeah, dude, the weather definitely just puts you in a bad mood. Like, I don't know, dude. Today just is like such a bad day.
Yeah.
It gives like bad juju too.
Today dragged for me, but
same.
I'm going on vacation. Well, not vacation, mini trip soon. So I'm like,
yeah,
just got to get over this rain and then I'm good.
Right. Yeah, that's just like, that's obviously the best part too, though, when you have something coming up that you're looking forward to. You just know like the days leading up to it, you're like, just get this out of the way.
Yeah.
But like you said, yeah, they do drag big time. But what are you going to do about it? But dude, we just got to jump into it because we've got a lot to talk about, if I'm being real here. So let's start off with the fact that our bracket that we made was dead wrong. Pretty much.
My winner was right, though.
Yeah, I can't remember. Did I predict them to win or did I predict Thieves to win?
You predicted Thieves.
Yeah, so I was dead wrong. You got about 20% of it right. I think maybe I don't know. I have to go compare it to what we made. But yeah, I was so wrong.
It was very wrong, the bracket that we. So for the episode that you guys are listening to today that we're recording, since we're a week behind, you saw the prediction of the bracket that we made, and you're already like have seen the outcome and like who won and whatever. But there was an instance where, oh yeah, we don't have like any upsets or like any crazy upsets. And I think I was the one that made a joke. Oh yeah, Bridge beat Thieves round 1, 100%.
Right.
That did happen. So
yeah, I mean, dude, yeah, let's just like we'll go through this. I mean, I think there's a lot of talking points with this major that we're gonna get to. There were some parts that were not too surprising. And then there were some runs that were very surprising, and I think it's left a lot of questions unanswered about certain teams. And I think two teams that didn't really have any questions about them, I think now there's some that are going to be sprouting up because of it. So I mean, first thing we'll start with, like you said, with the Boston team. I don't know where to stand with this team right now, if I'm being real. They had a horrendous major 1. They got double rounded. Like I think they started in winners, and then I can't remember who they played, but I think it was FaZe. Yeah, or there you go. So they just had like a brutal start, and they didn't really catch any breaks. And then this major, they started in winners, like you said. They went and faced Thieves. I mean, I love the boys, but I was pretty confident they were going to lose that just based off of what Thieves were doing. And again, they just came out and surprised. They looked great. They played really, really good COD. I can't remember exactly how the match itself. I should go see really quick. Yeah, it was a really close hard point. 6-4'd them in the search. Then Boston lost 3-0 Vault Control, which was really no surprise because Thieves looks like one of the best teams. And then they won a gritty Skyline Hardpoint. So it was kind of a close series other than that Vault Control. So they looked really good. And then after that, bro, they played Surge. They lost 3-1 to them. And then they went and played Ultra, and that was it. So they won one match from the tournament.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think about this? Was this
Uh,
good or bad? Like, I don't really know.
I mean, I think Breach coulda they coulda, secured top 3, like, for sure. The the matches like, the maps look close against Thieves, but I think it was deceiving the scoreline because it seemed like Breach was hurting themselves, against the Thieves. Because Thieves realistically, like, that I was very surprised that they lost to the Breach, but they looked awful. Like, you could tell they weren't the same Thieves during the qualifiers. But when they played the Surge, Bridge should have won that. Like they just made mistakes and ended up losing, and then knocked themselves down to losers. And Ultra kind of just swept them. Like they didn't even look good at all. But I don't know if there was an event to place top 3. This probably was an event because they had good side of the bracket. Um, Granted, they lost to Surge, knocking them down to losers, and like Surge made it all the way to finals again. But I still think if you have a chance with this team to upgrade, like you gotta try to upgrade. But again, I don't know who you grab to upgrade at this point because um like all I think the only guy on this team that is like consistently good the whole time is Snoopy. And everyone else is like they all have their moments. Like clearly they all work together. It's just all of them don't work together at the same time when it really matters.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah, that that pretty much sums it up. I mean, they played in that Surge game. I just looked it up. That was such a close series. That was a really deceptive 3-1 that
mhm,
they lost to them. The hard points were close. I mean, everything other than the control, which Boston right now looks to be really struggling with the control. Um, they can hang. That Thieves team, though, that version of them, they were definitely terrible.
mhm,
They just were not playing as they should, and you could hear it in the comms too when I was watching. I was watching the flank, and they were talking about it. Octane was just saying it. He's like, the minute I heard their comms, I knew it was over. They just seemed like they didn't care. They thought they were going to run through Boston,
mhm.
and they were totally wrong. But yeah, to your point though, I don't know what they do. I have a feeling that this team, if I'm being honest, is kind of capped out as to where they're going to be with the players that they've got, unless, like you said, the consistency really steps up and all of these guys are consistently playing well, which we know in the league is just so hard to do, like day in and day out after match. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like right now they're going to be that. Like, what would that be? I mean, Thieves and FaZe, probably would say Surge and Ultra, then Carolina, and then you'd probably put
Yeah,
them there, you
mid
know?
pack,
Exactly.
mid
Yeah,
yeah.
which is like an improvement from last year, but I don't see them really challenging Ultra or Vancouver with the roster they got now, or at least the way that they're playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, they at the end of the day, they just have to be more consistent. Because
Yeah.
when we see them consistent, we like win, especially early in this year. They look good, but all 4 of them have to be consistent the whole time and playing well. So I don't know. I mean, if there are options to upgrade players, then maybe, or like you said, they continue this run with these 4 guys and see what happens. But we saw with Surge what happened with them, where they finished basically dead last, last major, and then they picked up Neptune, and now you can say they're like the 3rd best team or 4th best team, this split, and they made it to finals. So and then choked again, but so I when we get to Surge, like I'll give them their flowers, but it's just I don't know. It's kind of crazy that they picked up one person and now they're immediately like that good.
Yeah, we talked about this a few episodes ago. If they were really going to, I think I said that they were not going to be really staying consistent. It was kind of like they were in like a honeymoon plus period. They
Mhm.
were doing great and they looked really good, but eventually they were going to come back down to reality. Um, and we didn't see we didn't really see that with this major. I mean, it was
Mhm.
really surprising. I don't think anybody had them in grand finals
No,
with
definitely
that
not.
move. I think the part of our bracket that I'm more than confident we got right were some of the losses like Gorillas and Rocker too. I know that we had Rocker losing to Optic. I can't remember if it was a 3-0 though. But I mean, talking about teams on the lower end that were not surprising and teams that need to make a change, dude, these teams are on, as like they say, bro, they're on fucking blow it up watch. These
Mhm.
teams are horrendous. Uh, they've looked horrendous all split pretty much ever since they started in the CDL. Like Rockers had some of their moments where they've all kind of looked good. Um, but, I hate to be that casual calling out players, but, like, dude, you see it with Paul X. I mean, man, it's just like I think they've given him so many chances and opportunities to really perform, and when you look at the stats at the end of the matches, he's always struggling.
Mhm.
Um, and it's not to say that it's all on him, but I definitely feel that there's players they could get that would be an improvement to the team if they went and dropped him. In LAG, I don't know what you do with that team. I have no idea, but you got to do something with them.
Yeah, you gotta do something with you know, any of the honestly, any of the teams at the bottom right now, like Rocker, I expect Rocker to make a change, like because like you've already tried it with these guys and nothing against like those four players, but it's sort of like Breach. Like they all worked out in the beginning, but they've been consistently trending downwards
Right.
since then. Um, but so they got to do something about that. LAG, I mean, they've been at the bottom since the beginning of the year, so they have to do something at this point. Um, I don't know. Maybe you just you keep like one or two people and then pick up a bunch of challenger players. I don't even know who you look at this point, but at this point with LAG specifically, you have to do something about it. And then, I mean, Falcons, they need to do something. They've been at it. uh, I don't know. Do you keep running it with, you want to keep those players in that region, keep doing that? Or do you say it halfway through the season and screw it? Just
Yeah,
pick up the challengers team. They're doing
that's
well.
that's what I think they should do. I mean, when it comes to someone like LAG, I know they're kind of similar to Falcons in the sense of they have some conception of trying to have like French representation and same thing with the Falcons, we're having the Saudis represent them. But there's a point where you have to cut your losses and you realize that this really isn't doing anything. I think both those teams they could easily drop two players, probably three players off there. And to your point, picking up challengers, uh, there's no way those teams get worse, right? Like that's how
Yeah.
I see it. There's
Yeah.
just no way that they could get any worse. You know, they're constantly getting 3-0'd or, not even really playing close series. I'd say even LAG back in the beginning of the year, they were kind of playing some close series, but that ship has sailed. Um, I think they should just be throwing out offers to people and just throwing out feelers, being like, "Hey, would you be interested? Would you be interested?" To these former pros who are sitting on the sideline and throwing it to challengers players, and then see who responds. If they're like, "Yeah, I'd do it," like, "Fuck it," pay me
Mhm.
this amount and I'll do it. Um, and then they go from there and be like, "Okay, we got all these people who be interested. What kind of team could we make from all these people?" Keeping obviously, I'd imagine they'd keep Kismet on LAG and probably um what's his name? Why am I blanking on him? Linz. I'd
Mhm.
imagine that they keep those two players, and then everybody else, they should get
Yeah.
rid of.
Well, I mean, if the Falcons and LAG want to keep, someone from their region and stay with that, they just need to keep one person, like, and then just wipe three people,
Right,
because then you can still technically say, oh well, we at least have a French player or a Saudi player on this team,
right,
and I mean, if that's the case, like for LAG specifically, um, then keep Lint and just
right.
wipe everyone else, and like honestly, I think everyone else will be happy because now they're free agents and they can, you know, try out another team.
Yeah, yeah. There's There's something to be said about the model, when it initially came out, there was gonna be all team and city based. Um, but just like with other traditional sports, I don't really think that people give a damn about that, you know? Like, we support the Patriots, but how many of those people are actually from New England, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Well, it's different though because of like I feel like with esports, you fall in love with the players. Well, it's COD. Let me rephrase that. COD specifically, you fall in love with the players and the personality. So the city doesn't really matter. In traditional sports, it definitely does matter because we realistically we don't care about um all the players on the team, I will say.
right.
Like you remember the specific you remember the quarterback, you remember like your starting five on the Celtics or whatever, but that's really it. In COD it's just very different where you follow the players, but if you talk to people about the is city based good or not, like that's a whole nother topic. Like obviously it's not it in the CDL, but like you and I, like we have a Boston team finally. Obviously, we want them to do good, and obviously, we want them to sign a superstar player, and they do have Snoopy. But yeah, like I do understand what you're saying, but the uh, where I was even going with this? Oh, the players on these teams, like they just shuffle around like every year. That's a problem.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I mean, I'll concede it. Like, I do agree with you, because you are right that we do fall in love with the players more than the teams itself. But I will like say to my point too with these teams, like the ones that we're talking about, they're almost willing to die on the sword for that. And
Yeah,
to me, it's not worth it, when their team is just horrendous and you have other people that you could definitely, add to your roster to make an improvement, but you're so stuck on this conception that, to some people, yeah, it matters. Um, but what's it doing to your team? Like, what's it doing to your organ? Like, are you happy as an owner, as a manager of that team, that even though you have these four players that are, from the same region that you're representing, they're dog shit.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
w
I
you
mean,
know, when
I
do you give it up?
I agree with that. It's the thing is, you can say the same thing about like Optic, right? Like,
Right.
I think with the players leaving, like at the end of the day, we're gonna get to the point, maybe besides Phase, what all these players are gonna be on every single team at some point. So what's so special about the team? Like, Optic's great. Like, I've always been an Optic fan. Like, you know, until the breach came around. Like, now I support them, but I'll still always support Optic, but the fact that Skies randomly joins Optic and now he's Optic Skies and he could potentially get dropped for like another person the next split, which I don't think they should do, but like I don't know. I feel like it just tarnishes the name of every single team a little bit. Because what? How many fucking Optic members are we gonna get? Are we gonna get the whole damn CDL in here? Like
Right.
that's what I don't like about it. And to your point though, all the bottom teams like they haven't built a brand as big as Optic, so I guess it doesn't really matter for them at all, anyways. Um, and COD's different too because it's a new game like every single year, so not every player is going to be good at this game compared to last year's game.
Right. And also to that, because I do feel the same way, about Optic, them being a family and being, this highly regarded team, which they are. Yeah, when you have all these people that are getting shuffled in and out of the team, it does kind of, I don't want to say like tarnish the name because that seems like it's too heavy,
Mhm.
but you know what I'm trying to say,
I
compared
mean,
to
I said
like with,
tarnish. I think it
yeah,
does
like
because it
FaZe
yeah.
is the opposite, when you join FaZe, it's like, "Oh, shit," like,
Mhm.
he's joining the God Squad, like, that's what it was like when Draza joined,
Mhm.
or same thing when Arcides left, or when Slasher joined, it was, like, unbelievable, it's got that level of prestige. There's not that many people, but there's Simpa Cell, Slasher, Draza, Priesta, and Major Maniac and Arcides.
Yeah.
That's it. 8
Mhm.
people that have been on that, and there's 3 of them that have always been on the team. So they've had 5 different people in that slot over the years, which is still a lot, but compared to some of these teams,
Mhm.
that's nothing.
Yeah, I think it probably just hits different for me with the optic situation because I mean I've grown up watching optic for so long, and it's like optic first. You would always see it as like they make content and stuff, content first, then they're like esports. Now, obviously, optic Texas, they do content, but also they're trying to win championships. So when you start seeing players just like cycle through this, it's tough to see. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, it was so prestigious. It is still prestigious to get on a team like that because you have like insane players, but um, you obviously don't want to keep rotating out players a if you're like a GM, if all these players are doing well, the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and it's a tough spot because, to the point earlier about the game changing every year, there are certain players that are gonna be good at certain games, and then the team dynamic may change, you know? Optic clearly is not a strong team in this game right now, um, and, they have to go make those changes, and it
mhm,
sucks because I'm sure next year that team could be really good, even if they stuck with Kenny, there's a chance that they're really good, um but a lot of teams too, they just are always looking for that, extra bit that's going to make them better in the moment. So then they do. Then next year, that guy's not good anymore. They're like, okay, he's done. Let's go get somebody else.
mhm,
Oh, he sucks. Okay, let's get rid of him and try this guy. Yeah, and it's just a revolving door. But at least in that situation, like, I remember when Thieves did that in Cold War, I mean, how ridiculous it was. It was like every other day they were making roster changes. Um, but I respect the initiative and the hustle to try to put a team together
mhm,
that's gonna actually win. I remember JCap saying that all the time, that was the whole goal. We're putting a team together to try to win, and eventually they did. Um,
mhm.
but man, these teams at the bottom, to me, I'm like, "What are you waiting for?"
Yeah, yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
well, yeah.
How
Well, I
many
mean,
how many
um,
times do you need to get shit on for you to be like, "You know what?
yeah,
I think it's time we call it on this team."
yeah. I'm not saying like the bottom teams shouldn't change. I'm
Oh,
just
no, I know you're
saying
not.
that the optic brand is way too big to I could give a fuck about LAG making a change. No
Right,
offense. Like I have
right.
no ties with that brand. Like
Same.
that brand hasn't been around as long as like Optic and the phases and whatnot. But like Optic, when most people think Optic right away, yes, they think of COD, but they think of all the content that they make. When I think of Thieves, immediately I think competition. They that brand was built to compete first.
Mhm.
Same way you look at Envy. Envy was the same thing. Compete first, content second, whatever. Same with FaZe. Well, Atlanta FaZe at least. Like, I mean, they signed the best players immediately, and those players are still the same players.
Right, right,
But yeah, like to your point though, yeah, the bottom teams like they got to do something. It's not like if Optic didn't make a change and they kept Kenny, yeah, people can say it's crazy, but I'll argue, well, you don't know about next year. Like, I hate the fact that Kenny's not on the team right now. Next year, he could come back on the team, but there is a chance that he's not on Optic anymore and he goes back to like Thieves
right,
or I don't know. And it's like, okay, so is he a villain again now? Like, do we fucking hate him
right,
or what?
right.
Uh, I don't know. That's just like the story line, I guess, like in me where I'm like, so do you just fucking hate this guy again? I don't know.
Well, and I think too their placement this tournament didn't really do them a lot. Well, actually, before we even talk about that, that whole ring ceremony thing was actually really nice. I remember you talking about it, how you were hoping that they would cheer him on and
Yeah.
everything, and the
Eh,
reception was great for him,
mhm,
and he seemed to be in good spirits.
yeah.
I don't know if it's just because he was putting on a face, but man, I'm sure that guy had a weight lifted from his shoulder being
Oh,
off
yeah.
that team, which you, by the way, bro, you fucking called that shit. He was the one who he apparently approached Hex and said he's like, "You guys got to look for somebody else."
Oh, I did not see
Yeah,
that. Did not know
yeah,
that.
Yeah, Hex said that he was the one who was like, "Yo, like, it's not happening."
That
Like,
that
he knew he was getting dropped. He's like, "Dude, I know, like, I know it's gonna be me,
mhm.
but, I'm gonna you guys gotta find somebody else, like, it's not gonna happen."
That says a lot
Um,
about his character right there.
yeah, big time. And I'm sure too the mental tax on him was just insane.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so seeing him out there and people giving him respect because, granted they're not doing well in this game, but he did bring them that championship. He's forever in history as
Mhm,
being the guy that joined on that team and the first. I mean, that's insane. First year he joins that team, he brings them their first chip since
mhm.
2017. It's unbelievable. So I was glad to see the reception that he got. And I think the Optic fan base were really hoping that Skies would be the answer and we would see that
Mhm.
absolute glory run, and we didn't. I
No,
mean, that
no,
that
no.
team is still look, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. The team just, like, came together days before the major, so anybody that was shitting on Skies saying, like, "Dude, he's neg, like, he's trash." I mean, man, you gotta get your head out of the sand, like, the guy has barely played with this team, um,
Yeah, what?
and
They had a couple of
yeah.
days.
Yeah, legit. I think it was like 2 days he was
Yeah.
playing with them. Um, but the first match that they had, they played, Rocker, and they 3-0'd him, and they looked good. Like, people were expecting them to bounce back. I was not so sold on this because I'm like, "It's Rocker," you know?
Mhm.
If they played a really close game against Rocker and still won it, I wouldn't be feeling that great. But they just overall looked better, and then they went and played Ultra, and they got absolutely stomped.
Yeah, it
And that
showed
was
the
yeah,
mistakes.
right, right. When you're playing a team like Ultra that, we'll get into, they were just red hot this whole major. Um, that really showed that the team still has a long, long way to go, if they're gonna get back to the top, which honestly, I don't know if they're gonna make it back to the top this season.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, the people saying to drop Skies already is that's insane. First off,
Crazy.
again, I'm gonna say it. You drop Skies, you get someone else. If it's not like Scrap or like Draza for like, and this is never gonna happen, I don't see the point in doing it. Again, tarnishing the Optic name a little bit, in my opinion. I'm like, you're gonna pick up this guy, make up a whole announcement, and then just get rid of him.
Right,
Again, Optic, Hex, like all those guys, like they know what they're doing with the brand. The fans don't like. I think Hex says it. I know what to do better for this brand than like the fans. Like the fans don't know what they want, which is true. So, um, I just couldn't imagine them picking up Skies and then dropping him right after, and then getting like I don't know some random challengers player that no one even knows about that doesn't watch challengers all the time.
right.
So, but yeah, I mean, Ultra exposed Optic completely because I mean, again, they haven't had that much practice, and uh, I will say though, Sky's playing against Rocker, like he kind of got shit on too. But again, benefit of the doubt, like he kind of just got plugged in there. Like his whole role was probably, all right, get hill time, rotate, and just do what I need to do. And like
Yeah,
he did that for the series. But um I don't think it helped though that they didn't play Ultra like right after. Like they're hot. Like I was texting you about it that Optic they look like Optic again because they were up there, they're screaming. Pred was just standing up and yelling at Rocker. But if they had a match the same exact day, like right after, they could probably carry that momentum and at least make it look competitive. Uh, that didn't happen because they came out completely flat, and Ultra just took care of business.
yeah. So I was going to ask you that question. Do you think that Optic will make it back to being a top 3 team this year, or do you think they're really gonna be fighting for the mid pack, like fighting against, I don't know, right now, I mean, Ultra and Vancouver. Do you think they
Mhm.
put up a competition against FaZe and Thieves as the season goes on?
I think FaZe and Thieves is a tough ask for those guys because FaZe and Thieves they have their 4 players locked. Um, they've had the chemistry going, and again, I'm a big chemistry guy. If your 4 players aren't locked in together from the beginning of the season, and like you haven't been there together the whole time, it's not going to work out unless you just have some crazy superstar player that just makes everyone so much better. Um, I guess you could say that about Surge out of nowhere, but I just don't think it's going to work for OpTic. But I do think they could make their way up to that like fourth, fourth to sixth spot, like fighting for that. Which is crazy to say because OpTic I feel like is always top three, no matter what, especially in terms of standings. It'd be crazy if they don't even make champs, but I do think they'll make champs. I think they're
Could
going to be
happen.
in that 4 to 6 spot.
Yeah, I think they do make champs too, of
Mhm,
course. I mean, but who knows? Um,
mhm,
yeah, I don't see them competing with FaZe and Thieves. Those teams are just way too far ahead. And we'll get to Thieves because they're kind of turning into a little bit of a gray question right now. Who really knows with that team? Um, but yeah, I think the hill right now, they're so far at the bottom of it that they really got to climb through. And I mean, we'll see. I think they're playing in a couple. Well, they are playing in a couple of weeks after this major when they come back, and that's going to be really telling to see how they've improved if they have with Skies.
mhm.
Having some reps underneath them, and hopefully playing some good teams because I don't really know what the schedule is. I might check it later, but yeah, I don't see them competing up at the top. I think they're going to be a team that uh, they may make it to a Sunday, like when we get maybe into the next major or major four, they could do it, but I don't see them taking a grand finals right now, just based off of what I've seen. I think that's going to be a really, really tall order.
Yeah, I mean they have to go through this split first for us to
Yeah,
really tell. I mean they could go. I mean if they go undefeated or at least positive, that's always a good sign. Um,
right.
but then we'll just really see at major three.
Yeah, we'll
So,
have to see because there's a lot of these teams. Like I said, I don't really know what to get from this major. This was a very weird one for me. Um, Other than FaZe. FaZe just they won everything that they played. They pretty much didn't have any bad matches. Um, they did have the only game 5 uh against Surge, which that was really exciting. Um, I had a feeling that FaZe was gonna win that though. When I saw the boys all have to do a 1v1 and they
yeah,
all won them, if I'm nasty too, I am bugging. That
yeah,
guy, because he had a 1v1, I think it was against Cell first, then
yeah.
he lost it. Then he had another one against Simp the next round, loses that. I was like, bro. Like when that happened, I'm like, there's no way they win this. He's so checked right now. Like he had 2 opportunities to do it. If he's 1 for 1, whatever. But the fact that he loses both of them in that 1v1 against them to win the match or win the round rather,
Mhm.
yeah, it was pretty bad. I felt bad for the guy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, the most consistent thing is phase,
Mhm.
and you can just say that about phase just in general this season and in the CDL era. Like they're it doesn't matter who they have as their fourth, they're just consistently consistent.
Yeah.
Um and we can't say that about Thieves right now, which I'm gonna just start off with if you think they need to make a roster change, just stop
Dude,
watching the
dude,
CDL.
dude, dude, I think they need to listen, Justin, I
No,
think they need to get rid of Envoy.
there is
He's
zero
dog
gray
shit.
area about this team. They just played like shit. They are shit. That's what happened. They played like shit, and they know they fucked up. You don't go 7-0 in a split, undefeated, then come to land, and then just get shit on. That doesn't happen.
Dude, I mean, that's what's crazy. It did. It's
It
like,
did,
I
yeah,
just don't
yeah.
understand
They
that.
they just played bad.
Like, yeah, I mean, look, again, the people I saw online, people were talking shit. They got it.
Yeah.
This team is not the dream team. It's not going to happen. I mean, look, like they're still a God Squad team,
Mhm,
but they just can't put it together right now. But I think it was Octane that had talked about it. How if there was a curse, they didn't get tested really during the qualifiers, and then they show up and they think they're hot shit and they
mhm.
get smoked. Um, I really got no idea. I don't buy into that. I think they just honestly showed up and they just played terrible. I think it's really as simple as that.
Yeah.
On Friday when they lost to Boston, I really think they kind of fucked off. I don't think they really cared about that match at all.
Mhm.
And then they got caught. And then the next day they just were lights out, playing amazing. That was some of the best COD that we'd see. I mean, I thought they were gonna go into Sunday and just be terrors. Um, and
Mhm.
then Sunday, I I can't really explain that. Who knows what happened to them that day? Because it's not a question of obviously them not taking it serious. You
Mhm.
know, they're playing ultra on on Championship Sunday. They're obviously going hard.
Mhm.
Um, but it's weird when you listen to their comms, they just the difference from Friday to Saturday to Sunday
Yeah.
is it's crazy. It's like
I
they just something they're not into it,
I
you
think
know?
it was the breaks must suck. Again, that's what like uh realistically, like I think these should have been eliminated like Friday, like double rounded.
Yeah.
Cause they Miami choked so
Oh yeah,
bad,
so
so
bad, bro.
bad.
So bad.
Like I thought Thieves lost it. Like I thought it was over for them. Um, after the S&D. I mean, Thieves ended up winning the S&D, but that's because Miami completely tossed. Um, and then Thieves just capitalized, won. They barely won, and then
They barely won that control.
yeah, and again, Miami should have won that control. Like they, Miami completely tossed, and then Thieves played Carolina. I feel like Carolina just can't compete against the Thieves for whatever reason.
Mental
Uh,
block, bro.
yeah, that's their kryptonite. These just match up really well against them, clearly. And then they were having fun, right, and laughing and whatever. And they looked good. Then played Cloud9. They still looked good, and you just come out flat like the next day. You know, the passion wasn't there. It didn't sound like they wanted to be there, which I'm sure they obviously wanted to, but you know, I feel like when you lose that momentum, like that's what everyone says. Like back in the day, you would be watching so many matches throughout the day on all the different streams. And when a team made a loser bracket run, it'd be crazy because they'd be playing all day.
Right.
And like when you're hot, you're hot. And now, like, you win matches, hard cutoff, Sunday. Now you got to like pick that up again, that momentum. And
Yeah.
that's hard to do when you're in losers. Like this is it. It's do or die.
Yeah, definitely. And to that point, I mean, yeah, I don't really know how to explain it, and I think a lot of people are trying to find ways to, and I don't think that you really can. I think it's just as simple as that. One day they're playing really well, and the next day they just aren't feeling it. Or, I mean, obviously, I would say Ultra that day was just so much hotter.
Mhm.
Ultra, that I thought they were gonna make it to grand finals. Honestly, they looked that good, but then they fell short against Surge. Um, but yeah, I don't agree with anybody saying that they need to make a change. That's obviously ridiculous. Um, it's gonna come down to that team for me, like whether they stick together or not. It's gonna just matter if they win champs. I
Mhm.
really think that Nate Shot put that team together. I mean, you see Envoy all the time. He's like, "We take everything," and
Mhm.
people are memeing on him and all this. And I mean, dude, you got to have that mentality for one.
Mhm.
I mean, there's no other way. You shouldn't be competing if you don't think that you can win every single time you play. Um, but yeah, that's another major that's in the books that they can't win, and then we'll have to see what happens in the net. Well, they got is it 2 more majors? Do they
Yeah,
have
2
3 and
more.
4? Yeah. Um, and then of course champs. They just that team has to put, I think, a couple of championships together for Nate Shot to really be, secure and confident in that team and like want to re-sign all of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Because obviously he's paying that team a boatload of money. And that's why when I watch him on the stream, you could just tell that he's so devastated, because he's
Mhm.
poured so much, resources into this team. And for them to come up short again, um, yeah, it's just wearing on him big time.
Yeah, and, like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, this team probably should have made finals. Like, this team is built to get to finals and go up against FaZe.
Right.
It's just it didn't happen again. It happened last major, and they fell short. We expected the rematch again, this major, didn't happen. And winning the minor, I mean, yeah, winning the minor is nice, but obviously, like, that doesn't matter to them. It's the major and then champs. Yeah, I mean, this roster doesn't make a change. They won't make a change at all this whole year. Uh,
No, no chance. Absolutely
if
not.
if anything happens, it's gonna be like you said after champs, after EWC, whatever after that. Because yeah, I think ever since LA Thieves won champs with Octet, like the original roster, and Envoy started the we take everything the past couple of years, and they haven't taken everything.
Right.
Yeah, uh, it is a funny meme, but yeah, no, that team doesn't make a change at all.
Yeah. No, there's no way they make a change. Like I said, after the season, then who knows? And then that all depends on how they do in the next couple of splits. And I think that's the case with a lot of these teams. I mean, Ultra right now and Vancouver, I think pretty much everybody would put them as, third and fourth best teams. I would not, along our lines with the Thieves, I would not demote them. They're still, in my opinion, the second best team. I think it's a bit more clear cut now that they are the second best team,
Mhm,
behind FaZe. Um, who knows how big that gap is? All depends on what kind of version of Thieves we get. Um, but Carolina has definitely fallen down the place. And I think Ultra and Vancouver have showed their potential that they could definitely step up and, make that run. I would be saying a different thing if we've seen Carolina and Ultra like in the top three or like in a grand finals. Um, but we haven't seen that. It's always they come right up against those teams and then they lose. Um, but yeah, like going back on something I said earlier about this major just being strange and what I'm talking about right now with these placements, that's kind of what I have in my head. However, I really think the fact that Thieves just played like shit and got, knocked out early, and then same thing with the situation that Optic's going through right now. I feel like these teams are kind of in these weird spots. Like we're
mhm.
really saying that Vancouver is like the third best team, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
You know what
like
I'm saying? Like it's just it's weird.
yeah, it's weird because these teams have always been garbage.
Yeah.
I'll say it. Like all
Except
these teams.
Ultra. Ultra's
Yeah,
been
yeah,
good.
yeah. Like, but we expected Ultra to not be that good after Scrap and Envoy left.
No, I thought they were
Like,
gonna be mid-pack.
yeah. Um, and they're I mean, technically, I guess they are, but they're fighting for that, third and fourth spot. But
Right.
the fact that, I mean, Thieves is still the second best team in the league. I think it's crazy to see that Optics not in, that top three like category that everyone says, which is throwing like a whack, out of everything. Well, especially in the CDL era. But yeah, I mean, this was a major for a lot of those mid pack teams to do well after seeing Thieves get knocked out, Optic got knocked out, and then, like you said, you got random like Surge randomly, and then Ultra started like kicking up this event. But yeah, I mean, the only thing that's been consistent, like I said, is FaZe. That's it. uh,
Yeah. I
and not to say anything about Surge, but like Surge, they played really well, but they made it to winners finals. Again, not their fault. It's a fucking format. But they beat Breach and they beat who they beat? Ravens to make it to grand finals. And Ravens lost to Thieves. Um and then Breach lost to Ultra. So like I don't know. The format just makes it look worse, in my opinion. Like I still give them their flowers, but I would like to see Surge beat Thieves and then go on and play FaZe. And then
yeah,
maybe,
no,
you know what I mean? Like
no,
more
I
of
know
a
exactly what you
challenge.
mean. Yeah, and that's where it's strange with Ravens because we had them as a top team, and I can't remember where I had in the predictions, but I know for a fact it was not a 3-0 either way.
Mhm,
I think I might have had Carolina winning that, which maybe was a little faded, but I mean, looking at it now, it was insane. I
mhm,
didn't expect them to get smoked like that.
mhm.
Um,
I
but
mean,
yeah, they beat two teams that, are so,
mhm,
you know, and Ravens and Breach. And then, yeah, he said they just end up in winners finals. Granted, they played a really close, first match against FaZe in the
mhm.
winners finals. And then they looked really good against Ultra. But dude, then when they went back and played FaZe, I mean, it was a 4-0. It was like a terrible grand finals.
Yeah, it
It's
was
it's
pretty
up
bad. Yeah,
yeah, it was up there with the what was it, subliners and Ultra,
yeah.
in champs, like same deal. Just like instantly annihilated,
Mhm.
and I could really give a fuck. I knew that FaZe was gonna win that, like, when the way they were playing.
Mhm.
Um, it was insane, and you can't speak highly enough about FaZe.
Mhm.
I mean, bro, you talk about living through eras. Dude, the FaZe era that we're all living through right now, honestly, is unbelievable. That team, a team that should I can't imagine for years splitting up.
Mhm.
Um, they're so consistent. They're always on top. Um, the their weaknesses are like little to none. I would say maybe their control.
Mhm.
Um, but then they struggle. The thing that was amazing to me is they struggled in their hard points against Surge. Excuse me. In was it in winners finals? They lost. I think they lost both of them.
Yeah, they lost both hard ones.
Yeah, and then they're able to come back in grand finals and smoke them, win those.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Like,
They
bro,
they're
how do
like
you do that? They just adjust
they adjusted quickly. They're like, "This
that
was too
quick.
close. We can win
Mhm.
these better," and then they won. I mean,
Yeah, just
we have all this stuff recorded. Go back to the last episode. What we were saying, and like you and I think everyone else had FaZe Thieves rematch.
mhm.
The grand finals didn't happen, and I know for a fact I specifically said my brain is saying FaZe is going to win. I'd love to see Thieves win in my heart, just because you can say they're tied 1-1. Clearly, that didn't happen,
Right.
and FaZe just took everything, um, convincingly too. Like you said, it wasn't close at all. I think Surge just got burnt out, like after playing Ultra, um, and FaZe just continued to lay on the gas pedal against these guys.
You think they were feeling the pressure, bro?
I think they did a little bit. I mean, you
I
lost
s
to them once in winners finals, and
like half
you
an
get
hour ago.
you came really close, you know.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how much you throw this into this like experience, but FaZe, probably thought about that winners finals. Yeah, we lost those two hard points. I don't give a fuck. We're good. It's a new set of maps, and they went in and just swept them. Where Surge, I don't know, maybe you have some less experienced players in grand finals. You go in and they're thinking, okay, we almost beat them in this. Like, you can't think about that. It's a whole new set of maps. Just go into it and play your game.
See, that's what I was thinking about a lot when I saw this matchup, was the experience level, you know? And I would love to hear from somebody if there was someone watching who's like, if they were a former pro and like could back up on this, because that a whole philosophy or just like, thought process is interesting to me that everybody on Surge, if I'm not mistaken, that's probably their first grand finals ever, outside of challengers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think who's on that team, right?
No, no, Nasty's been in one,
In a grand
right?
finals? Who was
Yeah, I
he
think he
with?
has. I'm pretty sure he has. Was it
Uh,
not? Was he with last year?
was he with Carolina last year, Nasty? Not Carolina, when they were,
Oh wait, yeah. Was it? Was it?
they
Was it
were they
Ravens
weren't
last year?
Carolina, yeah, but no, but they were like some other no, when they were, the London Royal Ravens, that's when he was on that team, I thought. I can't remember if he was on Carolina, but even if they were, I don't think they made a grand finals last year, no chance with that team.
I
Yeah,
swear, maybe I'm mixing him up with Hixie. No, I swear to God, not later. I'm gonna look it up while you talk.
yeah, yeah, because like, and even still to that point, if he did, it's one.
He's the only one. Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, like of all the other guys there, they haven't been in that situation. And then when you have FaZe where everybody on there has a ring, everyone's got multiple championships, they're all just like, yeah, been there, done that. Like, we know what this is like. Um, I feel that the pressure and being able to rise up to the occasion, I mean, I could be faded, but I just feel that FaZe, those guys would be able to deal with that way better. They've
Yeah.
been there so many times before. They know how to deal. When you're on when you're on Vancouver side and you're just absolutely bugging, you're like, holy shit, dude, we're in the grand finals right now. Like, we're that close. We can do this. Like, this is it. And like the pressure and the nerves, and then you're like, fuck, we're playing FaZe. Like, dude, we're literally in a grand finals against Simpa BZ, Cell, and Draza. And Draza stayed up like, oh my God. Like, it's like
Yeah.
I would be so checked. I'd be like, bro, holy shit, this is
Mhm.
happening right now. And especially too after the first match, the hard point. I mean, I was thinking that Vancouver was going to show some life there, and that's where FaZe beat them. I had 250 to 193.
Mhm.
And then the final one that they played, they smoked them in the search. Protocol control was like we had 3-2, and then the final hard point. I think to your point, they were just so burnt out. They beat them 250 to 137. Um, I think they just strangled them. They just could not. They couldn't keep the pressure and the intensity up throughout the entire match. And
Mhm.
that just again shows why FaZe they're so consistent. Everybody on that team is so seasoned. Um, there's like little to no pressure on that team. They've literally won the biggest tournament you could ever win in Call of Duty, that EWC.
Mhm.
Like, they're insane.
Okay. Yeah. I found it. Uh,
Was he?
it was FaZe against Thieves last year at EWC. That's what it was.
Damn. I
So he
totally
did.
forgot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And win that.
Came in second. Damn.
It
Scored
was-
again, man. I
Dude,
mean,
against FaZe.
against FaZe, yeah, against the same roster.
Right.
Like so,
Yeah.
uh, I knew I recognized him. I always mix him and Hixie up a lot, but yeah,
Well, and
and
also I forget sometimes though about the EWC. It's like I don't even I don't say like I don't count that
it's only
because
been
for
1
sure
year,
you do.
so
Yeah, and it's like weird because it's not part of the CDL. You know
it
what I
was
mean? It's like
and it
its
was
own
after
separate
champs and
thing.
everything
Yeah.
the first year,
But
so
still though, yeah, I mean, dude, that's a grand finals, like,
yeah,
unquestionably. But
yeah, it was the LAN.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, dude, now FaZe is back to back to back. I
Mhm,
mean, dude, I I think this is no doubt. I sent a tweet out about it earlier, dude. Like I think this is pretty obvious that this is a dynasty. Like they're just
mhm.
becoming one of the greatest Call of Duty rosters, as Courage would say.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
just unbelievable.
they've got, they got 2 more majors and the champs and EWC. I mean, there's a good chance that they win next major too, like, I mean, as of right now, right? I mean, like, obviously anything can happen, like, I like to think of every single split as a restart for the most part for every team. Um, I'm sure FaZe is just gonna kick up again. So, yeah, like FaZe is just a very consistent and dominant team, and watching those guys play against Surge too, like after playing them, like they completely forgot about winners finals and just said, "All right, let's just run through them," and they
Yeah.
completely did.
Yeah, and then Celian was talking shit to them too. He's
Mhm.
talking shit to 04. Yeah, I mean it was not a good look.
Yeah, yeah, and then
Like,
it was so funny. After uh, Draza went up and did the interview in winners finals, everybody was booing him.
oh
Um,
yeah.
Blaze was like telling everyone to cheer for him. He was like, "No, no, no, fuck him."
Yeah.
uh, it's funny.
Yeah, and that's a team too that I just a lot of people they love to hate. They have
I
a,
mean,
a
yeah.
base for sure.
Mhm,
Obviously because they're the villains, and I was on that side. If I didn't really like FaZe, I was always annoyed. But I don't know what's happened to me. Like I've turned to the dark side or so. Now I want FaZe to win now because I
mhm,
know that there's like a legacy to be built here,
mhm.
and I want them to just keep on going.
Yeah.
Like I want them. I'm like, dude, get all the rings, win
Mhm.
all the chips, bro.
Nah, it's not
Like,
the dark side. It's just using your brain.
yeah, right.
Like using your brain and being realistic about some things. And like I'm just personally very happy for Jurasa. Again, just that fucking guy. Like
Yeah.
he did it with Thieves and now he's doing it with FaZe.
Yeah, they've definitely cemented themselves as one of the greatest rosters of all time.
Mhm,
Um, they really are given the Cold War phase vibes right now, just with how good that team is and how consistent they are.
mhm,
Um, and again, this is what 3 major tournaments that they've won back to back to back now. they're pretty undeniable. To your point, the question is, can they keep it up? Obviously, they can.
Mhm.
But it's going to be a matter of watching the other teams and seeing how Thieves does. I think Thieves, their problem is consistency,
Mhm.
right? It's not a question of talent on that team. It's just a matter of consistency. And then with OpTic, it's, again, it's not talent. It's just them trying to figure out how to be on the same page as a team.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, I don't think, the Vancouvers and Ultras, I don't see them um rising higher than they are. They'll get better, but I don't think they'll be good enough though. When like Thieves and FaZe are at their peak, I don't. I personally, I could be wrong, but I just don't see them getting to that point where they're going to be really challenging that second or first spot.
Yeah. I mean, again, those team like Surge, for example, they just have to catch one of those teams on a bad day,
Right.
and they've done that. I mean, Surge, like that random time where they beat FaZe 3-0,
Yeah.
and then FaZe just won again. Like you
Right.
just got to catch them on an off day, and that's what happened with these at this event. Caught them on an off day, and they lost. Realistically, Thieves right now is the only roster that will be able to compete against FaZe, like in the grand finals.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm like positive we're gonna see another FaZe and Thieves rematch again, either at Major 4 or 5, or maybe Champs. Champs would be awesome. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, if you go back and look at all the episodes that we've recorded, like for each major, and like, or even the episode going into this year, predicting like, oh, who's gonna win this, like who's gonna win champs, like you and I both had Thieves and FaZe, like at champs at the end of the day. Like the Thieves, that roster was built to beat FaZe and to win. Like they're not changing that roster at
No.
all. And I'm confident that those two teams are going to meet each other again in grand finals.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable, right?
Yeah.
FaZe obviously is just looking the way they are, and I think that Thieves' consistency issue, they'll definitely iron that out. The problem at first was Hydra was really struggling to kind of find his footing with the game and with the team, and clearly he's found that. Now it's just a matter of them showing up
Hmm.
when they need to. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, it was a great major. It's fun to watch, other than grand finals that sucked.
Hmm.
But we definitely got to see a lot from these teams, and as we talked about in the beginning of this episode, a lot of the teams that need to make changes. I'm sure we're going to be talking about them in the next couple episodes here, um, because I will be absolutely mind blown if there's not a lot of changes. It's like only one or two teams change. I think there's a lot of teams on blow it up watch right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the bottom teams definitely at this point should just try to do something.
Yeah, and just show a little bit of life.
Hmm.
It's not like they're gonna all of a sudden become a top 6 team, fighting Ultra and all them. But
Hmm.
I mean, I'm getting sick and tired of watching rocker matches in LAG where teams playing them, and it's like, okay, here we go.
Hmm.
Like this team's gonna get 3-0'd or get 3-1. It's like, come on, let's try to get a little something, put some fight up.
Yeah, it's the Rocker, the LAG, and the Falcons.
Yeah,
Really, like I mean, I got Miami's one of the weird ones because when they go on land, they look insane ish.
right.
Like, what's his name?
Metals.
Real, no, Real. Like
Real.
he's insane on land. Like
He's
he
gross.
carried that team, and the fact that they didn't beat again, they didn't beat Thieves. I don't know if you watched that whole series. Fucking insane because Real did everything.
He was shitting on Ghosty. I love it. Ghosty was like,
Yeah,
"Look at me, look at me." He's like
yeah,
sitting back. He's like, "You're dog shit."
yeah. Like his
It's like,
team
dude, look at
blew
the
it.
scores, bro.
His team blew it for him,
Right, right,
and yeah, these just clutched up when they needed to, but that dude was frying on land, and that's back to back lands where they got first rounded knocked
right.
out, but he was frying. So I wouldn't be surprised if Miami makes a change either. But they're also one of those teams where if they didn't make a change like Boston, they're like somewhat hanging in there. Um,
Right.
but Rocker, LAG, and Falcons, they need to make a change. They got to do something to
Yeah.
help them out.
Yeah, totally. And again, who knows what they're going to be doing, but they got to do something, you know. So
Yeah, anything.
I mean, yeah, legit. So yeah, I think that's pretty much like all I really wanted to talk about regarding the major. I mean, again, it was a good match, a good set of matches. I don't think there's any teams that we didn't really talk about or anything that was, a big point with it. Um,
Cloud
it's
Nine,
just going to be,
Cloud Nine is just
I don't even know what to
mid.
say about them. I don't know
They're
what
just
to say
mid.
about that team. Yeah, it's like they're like
Okay,
yeah,
well,
they're mid.
they're mid. Kremp is fucking insane. Again, another Boston boy.
Yeah.
He like carried that team. Like he was doing everything. Uh, but again, wasn't enough for them.
Yeah, and who did they let me go see 'cause I forget who they
They got
played here.
smoked by
I got it
Thieves.
right here.
They're the team
Yeah.
that got smoked.
Well, so they lost. So they beat. Oh, dude, again, so strange. That's why I don't get like. I mean, sometimes these brackets and just the way it breaks down, you don't know. They fucking 3-0'd Ultra.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at it, this is about
Hmm.
as close as it gets, though. 250, 248, 6-5, 3-2.
Hmm.
That's an insane. Yeah, that's a deceptive 3-0. So I changed my tune on that. Then they lost to FaZe, no shock. And then yeah, then they got 3-0 smoked by Thieves. So oh yeah, and that was bad too. Their hard point was horrendous. So I don't know. I don't really know what to do with that team. Is that a team you change? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, there's people you could get, but like, yeah, I don't know. That's a team I just the one team throughout this whole year that I can't figure out is
Hmm.
them because they're so hot and cold. I have no idea where they actually fall as a team.
Yeah. And I just think this year that FaZe and Thieves are so far ahead that it makes everyone else just look the same. Besides the
Yeah,
really bad teams that you can clearly see they're bad. Um,
right,
like everyone else is just like you got Ultra, you got Surge, you got Cloud Nine, even Boston, Miami. Like you throw those teams in there, like I'm not gonna say it's a 50-50 in there, but it's really close. Like if they're all playing well. Um,
yeah,
but I will say I'm happy to see that the players that have come from the Boston camp, they're all frying on their individual teams,
right. No,
which
it is good to see.
like seeing Beans fry is awesome. Kremp is frying, and then I mean Ghosty's on the he's frying. Um, that could have been our team.
I know. I was gonna
It
say,
could have been our team.
we should go and DM them again. Be like, hey boys, you
they
want to come back?
they're all succeeding.
Yeah. So, no, that is true. It is good to see all those guys again, but I just wish that I wish they were still with us because maybe we'd be fighting for that top 3, who knows?
I know we see it. We just keep
Yeah.
coming short every time. We
Right.
could we could have placed top 3.
We could, yeah, I
Could have.
know. Like, dude, I remember you texting me, you're like, "Bro, dude, we might make
It
it
makes
to
a
Sunday."
Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we
And
beat
then it just
Surge, and it was
yeah.
close, we're into championship Sunday.
Yeah. But then, Surge just all of a sudden, I don't know what they did that day, but they just woke up and
Yeah.
they became insane. Um But, yeah, man, I think that honestly kinda does it, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add on this.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
but again, let
congrats
us
FaZe.
know yeah, again, yeah, huge congrats, FaZe, literally one of the best teams to ever do it. And yeah, if you haven't already and looked at our brackets and seeing how broken they were, do go back and check it out. And I'm curious to see what other people had. Did they have Surge making it that far or Ultra? Um, and then, let us know too what you think about our talk on Thieves. Again, we're both on the side of that team doesn't make a change, but I know there's a lot of loud people out there who think that they should. So do let us know why you're crazy, and
Yeah.
we will try our best to understand your reasoning. But yeah, I think that does it though, man. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, everybody, thank you for listening to this episode 215. Yes,
Yeah.
215.
215.
We mix it. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. We've been going through all these goddamn 215 of the COD Casuals podcast. Be sure to go to anchor.fm/COD Casuals since we're there on all stream platforms. And of course, go into the Instagram and TikTok where we post shorts of the episode if you don't want to watch the whole thing. And of course, go into the YouTube. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe over there. We appreciate it. And then leaving a review. Oh, is it a 5 stars? as well on Spotify, and then joining the COD Casuals community on Twitter, since that's pretty much where we're active all the time. So if you want to reach out to us or just stay engaged in the community and the talks, be sure to go join that. And I think that does it. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. So again, everybody, thank you for listening to episode 215 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike.
I'm Justin.
And we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.